Hello traders, this is Cousin Vinny coming to you from theclosingprint.com, Sunday the 24th of May, 2020. In this edition of your weekend video newsletter, we'll discuss the strength in the indices, gamma levels, and what to look forward to in the week ahead. Big cap tech stocks were strong with the exception of Netflix. We had Facebook up over 11.4%, followed by Nvidia out with earnings on Thursday. Looking for follow-through with the 50-day moving average turning up on all the major indices. The bond stock ratio is bullish. HYG and junk are moving higher. We have the Dow Composite flat above its 21 and 50-day moving averages. The S&P 1500 is neutral to bullish. And the ARCA Institutional Index XII is trending above the 200-day. Tick and Tick Q sentiment is continuing to trend higher as of Thursday 2 weeks ago. And Tick and Tick Q sentiment has turned higher over 2 weeks ago on Thursday. That continues to look bullish. NYMO and NAMO are looking okay. NYMO looks a little bit better. While the put-call ratio continues to drop, that's bullish for equities when we see more calls than puts, as gamma will start to improve and become more bullish. US dollar remains in a 7 to 8 week range, while the other forex pairs tighten as well. British pound US dollar is drifting a bit lower. That should be good for the London Stock Exchange, which was up 5% last week, along with the FTSE. We're watching bonds. Those continue to trend a bit higher. Yields look like they could be starting a rubber band kind of move, as that would have a positive effect on the equity markets should it rise. Gold is rising. We're looking for a higher low and the monthly to remain bullish. Copper continues its rising channel. That's bullish for construction related names and builders. And West Texas crude is up over 430% from the low we saw 5 weeks ago. S&P 500 spider sectors are improving, as are the international markets. We're looking for some IBD50 names to trade this week, in addition to some relative strength names, as well as stocks from the Blue Dot scan in cyan. Bukowski is showing 3 of 5 red with the CPI signal green since May the 15th at 100%. That's bullish. A little overheated with 0 bearish patterns, 33 bullish patterns, and 614 patterns waiting for breakout this week. The indices are looking better. Price action remains above the 9 and 21 day moving averages. The 0 gamma level is at 293. The 9 EMA is at 292.11. And the 21 day is at 287.92. We're above both, closing at 295.44 at the end of the day Friday. With 0 gamma at 293 and the top gamma strike at 300, we'd look for that area to be tested this week. If we could see more calls being bought, that would increase positive gamma for the spiders and the S&P 500. 0 gamma for the S&P 500, 2904, and absolute or top gamma strikes are at 3000. In addition, the NASDAQ 100 continues along its way. The 9 EMA 21 day have a nice trend to it. RSI remains above 50 and MACD has turned up over the last few weeks. MACD is above its signal line and volume continues to move higher. Small caps are improving as well, about to break above 137, the recent pivot highs that we saw at the end of April. The 50-day moving average is turning higher as well. Prices above the 9 and 21 day. Both of those are bullish. RSI is above 50. Volume has been increasing. And MACD is above its signal line with volume increasing going into Tuesday trading. The S&P 500 Equal Weight Index is flagging. We're looking for a follow-through. The number of stocks trading above the 50-day moving average is at 82%. We're near the overbought zone, but the 200-day is at about 30%, 35%. So we could see more follow-through as more stocks move back above their 200-day moving averages. Potentially this week. We do see CCI at overbought territory, so depending on how the markets open on Tuesday, we'll get a better gauge as to the number of calls being bought or puts, and gamma before we start the summer months, June, July, and August. We're also seeing the Dow Industrials with a cycle turning higher recently as the 50-day moving average turns up as well. If we can break above these levels at 24,800, we should see the next level at 27,100 over the summer months, provided that we have some catalyst to help propel things higher. Perhaps that's more positive news on opening economies and America getting back to normal. In addition, we would like to see VIX continue on this bullish signal. As long as this stays green, we're looking for higher highs and higher lows. While VIX remains in a downtrend, the 50-day moving average has peaked and turning down rapidly. We're looking for more normalized price action. If we can see the VIX drop below 25 this week, that would help with increasing positive gamma and support a trending market. Buy the dips, sell the rips. Breadth is continuing to improve. Advanced decline is out of the red zone and rising. That's bullish for equities if that continues, with more stocks moving higher and above their 50-day moving averages, as you recall in the previous charts, in addition to the number of stocks moving above their 200-day moving average, suggesting there's more potential upside before the markets are overbought again. Exactly the opposite of what many people are expecting. The S&P 1500 advanced decline percent, S&P 500 in the top panel, mid caps, small caps, and the NASDAQ 100 in the lower panel are above the zero line, have been oscillating or consolidating recent gains. So there's plenty of room for upside if we see breadth starting to improve on these 1500 stocks, in addition to the NASDAQ 100 going into this week. That said, the NASDAQ is showing some signs of being overbought, so I wouldn't be surprised to see some weakness going into the month of June. In tech, remember the seasonally strongest month of the year is July. However, there's usually a dip in the month of June, so keep an eye on those big cap tech stocks that outperformed last week and trade them accordingly, knowing that they are a bit overbought. Here is the New York Stock Exchange McClellan Oscillator. It does look a bit better. It did try to change cycles mid-week as we're looking for a follow-through. Friday was a blue elder stick in the bottom panel. We're looking for more upside to help improve NIMO. Turn back up. The NYSE, the summation index, is also moving higher. So being we're near the zero line, perhaps we can see some follow-through and an improvement in the breadth for the New York Stock Exchange going into the last week of May and early June. The bond stock ratio is bullish as well. As long as this continues to drop, that would favor equities over bonds in the short term, while we look for intermediate and longer term for the moving average to drop back down like it was back in late 2016, early 2017, when the market started trending. While price action continues to move upward in this ascending broadening pattern, looking for higher levels if the bond stock ratio continues to drop. That said, the shorter duration and longer duration bonds are reluctant to give up any gains recently as price action continues to move back above the moving averages and RSI is back above 50. So I would expect that price action for bonds would stay in a tight range as we've seen over the last few weeks, while bonds, high yield corporate debt, and junk bonds continue higher. This is a bullish indication for equities, along with small caps continues to move higher. That would be bullish for equities and a risk on indicator going into the summer. Currency pairs also remain in a pretty tight range. In this case, the British pound US dollar is moving a bit lower, so the range is tightening, the channel is down. The 21-day has turned down as well. That would be bullish for the FTSE and the London Stock Exchange in the short term, as long as this continues to move lower. Into the intermediate term, if this starts to move back towards the March lows. While the British pound does fade, we do see the US dollar staying in that tight range since the April lows. This is a tightening or triangular looking pattern right along the moving averages, right around the midline presently, with RSI moving back towards 50, MACD turning up. You can see this oscillation pattern. Stochastics also oscillating from oversold to overbought and back. So with the dollar range bound, we could see appreciation in gold and copper. The latter would be good for construction related names. If this price action continues in this ascending channel pattern, look for a higher low in the weeks to come. We do have overhead resistance just shy of 260, in addition to the improvement we've been seeing in crude oil, which hit a low 5 weeks ago and has rallied over 430%. This would be bullish for equities if they see this continue, as there's a positive correlation between the two. Sectors are improving. We see more lime greens across the industry groups, a little bit of orange here in healthcare, but the majority of sectors look better, in addition to what we saw in international markets improving. A couple of reds here in the China, South Korea, Singapore, Taiwan area, while Japan is trying to improve somewhat. In addition, we pointed out the ratio between consumer discretionary and consumer staples. When these lines are rising, that's bullish for equities. When they're dropping, that's telling you that institutions are positioning with more safety in mind and more bearish in the short term as staples outperform. If they're tightening their wallets, you'll see this ratio continue to move lower like we did back in February, March, and April. With that in mind, we can see consumer discretionary is rising while consumer staples is below its 21-day moving average. The remaining sectors are all making higher highs and higher lows. We're looking for price to be above the 20 and the 50-day moving averages. As we can see in most cases, materials improving, communication services, that would be the group with Netflix, Disney, Facebook, social media, technology, higher lows and higher highs. Remember, July is the seasonally strongest month of the year for technology. However, June is one of the weaker months of the year. So we're just going into the last week of May into June. Watch technology stocks. Industrials are improving, financials are improving, and energy is improving going into the last week of May. Here is the IBD50 stocks for the week. If you watch the workflow video I put out in the alerts channel this weekend, one of the things I talk about is that price action needs to be above the 9 and 21-day moving averages. We like to see recent retests in the case of entries, looking to buy the pullback to the 9, 21-day or 200-day moving average in this case. Looking for a follow-through, RSI back above 50, volume increasing, and MACD above its signal line and rising. Could see some follow-through in American Tower this week. Watch the REITs in general, as they look like they could be forming some solid bases to push off of this week. Adobe, reviewed last week, pushed off the 21-day moving average the week prior, gapped above the 9 EMA on Monday, and then followed through. RSI suggests there could be more upside. A move back to the 9 EMA that gets bought would be an ideal entry. Volume increasing, MACD remains above its signal line and rising. Semiconductors are looking very promising. We had AMD pull back to the 21-day. Buyers stepped up. A follow-through day on Tuesday would be an excellent entry. Momentum would most likely increase. RSI is above 50. That would turn back up as a function of price. We'd see more volume, and MACD would follow through as well. So look for AMD and other semiconductor stocks to move higher this week. If they move together, that would be even a better edge going into this shortened holiday week. Applied Materials, another technology stock that pulled back to the 200-day. If we get a bounce and a follow-through bullish candle on Monday, that could be the start of a 3 or 4-day move. RSI is above 50, volume increasing, and MACD is above its signal line. Autodesk giving us the same sort of indication. We could see a follow-through day on Monday and a move back up to 211.58. If we clear that 199 zone in the short term, 90 MA 21-day in a bullish ascending path. RSI above 50, MACD above its signal line, and volume increasing on Friday's move higher. Booz Allen Hamilton technology continues to move higher, looking for a test of 79 and then perhaps 82 in the short term. Volume increasing, showing institutions have been present. MACD's crossed and RSI is rising, suggesting there's more upside in this current leg up. A pullback to the 90 MA is always possible. If we did see that on Tuesday, I would look for a follow-through day, Wednesday, Thursday. Otherwise, it looks like this trend is just going to continue going into this week. Box from last week's watch list looking for a follow-through. RSI is overbought. Volume was above average on Friday. Another REIT looking for a follow-through. If it clears these 19, 20 levels, we could see 23, 24 in the short term. Ascending pattern, 9 and 21 day rising. Look for a push through the 200 day this week. Chegg from previous watch list, gap and go on earnings, above average volume. Institutions got into this, looking for price action to follow through this week. Dexcom from previous observations, I know Robert was looking at this one on Thursday and Friday. Followed through, buyers stepped up at the end of the day with this wave down. Looks like the next wave up is underway. Like to see more volume and MACD turn up as a function of price. Inson Group clearing the 200-day moving average on this leg up. Look for a follow-through. RSI suggests we could see more upside. If this does come back down below the 200-day, look for a bounce near the 90 MA and a follow-through. Volume is showing that institutions have been picking up shares. MACD is above its signal line and rising. Etsy, probably one of the nicest setup this week. Pulled back all of last week, bounced on Friday, volume started to pick up. MACD will turn as a function of price. RSI is still above 50, turning. I really like this one for a move back to 90 in the short term. Upper ATR bands, 88, 81 would be the target for the end of the week if we could see a follow through on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Facebook had a great week. I don't want to chase it up here, but it does look like it's trying to continue higher. A pullback to the 90 MA or this pullback to breakout zone would be an excellent entry. If we see buyers step up, you can tell that institutions have been very active in this one. MACD is above its signal line and rising. Looks like Facebook wants to keep going, though the best entry would be a pullback to the 90 MA that gets bought. Fortinet, internet security related name, very tight range on Thursday and Friday. Held the 90 MA, looking for a follow through. RSI is overbought, so maybe it does drift a bit lower or flags in this zone. Watching this one and other names in the group like CyberArk and FireEye that saw some action last week as well. Gold stock, Franco-Nevada also looks good. Kirkland Lake Gold and other names in this group. If we do see gold produce a higher high this week, more than likely these stocks will be moving with it, so keep an eye on gold and Franco-Nevada. GoDaddy testing the 90 MA on Friday. Look for this next wave up to take it past 80. Upper ATR bands are at 79.81. RSI suggests we could see more upside, and volume indicates institutions have been picking up shares over these last few weeks while being on the watch list from time to time. Another REIT, Highwoods Properties Inc., looks like it's trying to clear the 21-day and then start a move towards the 200-day overhead at 42. Volume increasing, showing institutions have been active. MACD crossing and RSI looking like it wants to move above 50. That would suggest we could see 43 in the short term, so keep an eye on these REITs and HIW in the short term. KLAC, CLAC, Semiconductors, looking for AMD, CLAC, LRCX, NVIDIA, Intel to all move higher this week. Right at the 90 MA, buyers stepped up. RSI is above 50. We're just looking for this whole group to move together. Another REIT, Medical Properties Trust, looking for a push and a leg up towards the 200-day in the short term. Watching Netflix to see how it handles the 21-day. If we see a bullish day on Monday, that could forecast a move back up to the highs on a next leg up. We're still making higher lows and higher highs. RSI needs to stay above 50 and volume needs to pick up. Looks like they've been taking profits at the highs, so I'd be wary on this one. Short term on Tuesday, Wednesday, let's keep an eye on it, see what kind of action we start the week with. Neurocrine Biosciences, this one continues to look good. Range bound all week, looking for a breakout or a retest of the 9 EMA again. I doubt it we're going to get a retest of the 9 EMA the way this held up last week. Volume increasing, MACD's above its signal line. Momentum is definitely with the bulls. Look for NBIX to follow through this week. NVIDIA, semiconductors, looking for the whole group to move together. PayPal wrote about the credit card processors group last week, Wednesday and Thursday. We're looking for a follow-through in these names along with MasterCard, Square, Visa, among others. PennyMac, this one looks like it could get going. Financial group, XLF has been improving the financial sector. Looking for a follow-through and a rise in banks and financial names, broker-dealers, and financial advisors. Chewy, Pet Meds, Pet Express, many of these stocks moving higher. People taking care of their pets as well. Back above the 21-day moving average. This leg up could get extended if we get through 36.43. RSI suggests we could see more upside. Volume showing that institutions have been pretty active. MACD's turning. Look for more action on Monday and Tuesday. If we see a follow through, this might be a nice setup right near the 21-day moving average. Taiwan Semiconductor, we just couldn't get any follow through, most likely because of the tension in the South China Sea and China and Taiwan and the U.S. going back and forth with rhetoric having an effect on this one. We thought we might see a follow through on Wednesday, reversed on Thursday and Friday, unfortunately. Looking for this to push higher, otherwise we'll stop out of this one and move on. Trade desk, we're looking for this leg up to continue. RSI is above 50, volume increasing. Just need to see MACD turn back up as a function of price. If we do, look for a breakout above 310, 311, and a test at 327, and that upper band at 340.16 in the next couple of days. The same thing goes for trade webs. This one has a nice trend along the 9 EMA. Only tested the 21-day twice in the last 2 months, so 9 EMA seems to be holding price. Look for a follow through on Tuesday and Wednesday. The same goes for Viva Systems. Hasn't tested the 21-day since back here in March. Continues to move higher. Got close on Friday, but we have this bullish engulfing candle. Next wave up. RSI suggests that we could see a move up into the mid 200s if this continues. MACD is still below its signal line, but could turn back up as a function of price if we see a follow-through move on Tuesday and Wednesday. Vertex Pharmaceuticals, another name that looks like it could follow through. Tested the 9 EMA on Thursday and Friday, looking for a leg up, RSI to rise. Volume increasing, showing institutions have been nibbling on shares, and MACD's at the signal line. So at a minimum, we'd want to see a bullish day on Tuesday and then a follow through Wednesday and Thursday. Workday, a number of you were talking about this one on Thursday and Friday, pushing through the 200-day, this wave up. If it consolidates along the 200-day, that's one possibility. If it just continues and breaks out above this pivot high, Tuesday, Wednesday, we could be forecasting a move back to 202 over the next few days and weeks. So look for RSI to continue higher. Volume suggesting institutions are the ones picking up shares and very active, with MACD above its signal line and about to turn, with MACD indicating the bulls are in control. Zynex, once again, very nice looking setup here. Could be a nice trade for a fairly inexpensive name, under $20 stock, going into the week, going into the last week of May. We also want to keep an eye on these MarketSmith Growth 250 relative strength names, the Blue Dot Scan in cyan, and the top volume percent gainers last week, a few of them in green. So be sure to check those names out this week. Looking for follow through. Among other things, work is looking good, Slack following through, audio codes, Cognix from previous watch lists. Looking for a breakout of this cup and handle pattern and continuation. It's still near the buy zone. Sienna Corporation, Dynatrace, looking for a follow through. Facebook, looking for a follow through. We talked about that already. The volume scan, stocks above average volume. Splunk from last week, that one looks very strong as well. We had a nice day trade on the options on Friday. Look for a little handle or a consolidation pattern. Got a lot of upgrades, 18 out of 38 brokers changing their profit targets 190, 195, 200. So having day traded it on Friday, I'd only be interested in either a follow-through breakout or a little consolidation and a flag to start the week. Okay, traders, that's going to do it for me. This is Cousin Vinny coming to you from theclosingprint.com with your weekend video newsletter. I'll send out a watch list later Monday night around 11:30 on the East Coast, 8:30 on the West Coast. I want to get outside and enjoy the rest of the weekend with my family. So take care. Make sure you check out the workflow video I posted in the alerts channel as well. Have a great weekend. We'll see you on Tuesday. Take care.